A Time for Change. Chapter 2. Big Doings in Greensboro. Even though Amari usually despised eating in the school cafeteria, the next day's lunch was different. It still smelled like ancient meatloaf and revolting metallic canned green beans. But never mind that for the moment. She and Jackie were excited to discuss their idea for a letter writing campaign with some of their friends. One of their oldest and closest friends, Denise, shared their enthusiasm for the campaign. That sounds like something the NAACP youth councils might be into. A couple of my cousins in Maryland belong to the junior youth councils. You only have to be 12 to join. And my oldest sister just joined a college unit. She even held picket signs in front of department stores that don't treat Black customers fairly. Isn't that all department stores? Mabel said sarcastically. The other girls at their lunch table started nodding their heads in unison. Well, we have to start somewhere, don't we? Otherwise, nothing will ever change, Jackie said curtly. Amari and Jackie were both disappointed in their friends' reactions to their suggestion of writing letters to government officials asking for better funding for Black schools. Some of the girls claimed to be worried that they'd get in trouble if Principal Thomas caught word of them complaining. Others thought it was a waste of time. Why would white politicians care about their poorly funded schools anyway? After school, Amari and Jackie decided not to let their peers' negativity ruin their enthusiasm. How would things ever change if no one even tried? If Rosa Parks hadn't refused to give up her seat on that Birmingham bus back in 1955, Black people would still be giving up their seats to white folks on all of those buses. Miss Parks was willing to go to jail for what she believed in, what she knew was right. Amari thought writing a letter was pretty easy in comparison to being put behind bars. Based on what she'd learned in history class the previous year, free speech was valued in America, right? Sitting at the red Formica topped kitchen table in the Johnson house, Jackie and Amari sipped milk and Ovaltine. The girls repeatedly added extra powder, making the chocolatey flavor extra strong. They told Mrs. Johnson about their friend's less than excited response to the letter writing campaign. Amari's mother offered some of her best cream-colored stationery to the girls. There will always be the naysayers, girls. People who want to dash your dreams, take your spirits down a peg. I'm proud of you both for doing what you think is right. And despite what your friends say, I actually think that Principal Thomas would be pleased that his students cared enough to try to improve things for others. I'll leave you ladies to it. Good luck! After writing lots of drafts on scrap paper, the girls finally decided their letter was ready for the expensive stationery. It read as follows. February 1st, 1960. Governor John Foster Fricolo, Massachusetts State House, Boston, Massachusetts, 02133. Dear Governor Fricolo, good day, Governor. Our names are Amari Johnson and Jackie Harris. We are both ninth grade students at Charles Taylor High School, located in Mattapan. We are writing to tell you about what is happening in our school. Both of us have old textbooks that came from wealthier school districts. These books are literally falling apart. Our science books are so out of date that they even have information that is inaccurate. Jackie's older brother attends Boston Latin School. His textbooks are always in beautiful, like new condition. And the science labs in his school are state of the art, while many of our Bunsen burners don't function properly, and we are always short of the chemicals needed for our experiments. Why is it that Black schools like ours are poorly funded, but white schools have excellent resources? Jackie is a great art student, but her school never has enough paints, pastels, studio easels, and other materials. In our humble opinion, this does not seem fair. We get good grades and work hard. Don't we deserve the same educational opportunities as white students? It will be a wonderful day when all schools in Massachusetts, whether Black or white, have adequate resources. Please help to make our dream for a better school in Mattapan become a reality. Thank you for your time and cooperation. Sincerely, Amari Johnson and Jackie Harris. When the girls finished writing their letter, they showed it to Mrs. Johnson. Her eyes welled up a bit. Wow, girls, This is beautifully written, both in terms of content and penmanship. I will bring it to the post office first thing tomorrow, but I'd love to show it to your father before we seal it in the envelope. Thanks, Mrs. Johnson, Jackie said. Amari, I'd better head home soon. I promised my mother I'd start getting dinner ready since it's poker night at the Waldorf house. My mom always has to stay late to get the food and drinks ready for their well-heeled friends. Okay, Jax, thanks for doing this with me. I feel really good about it. Me too, Jackie smiled. See you tomorrow. While Mrs. Johnson was making dinner, Amari flipped on the TV. She needed a distraction from the highly tempting smells coming from the kitchen. Despite her after-school snack, she was starving. Perhaps her father was correct in his guess that she was not finished growing yet. Anyway, the smell of pineapple upside-down cake was killing her. But after just a couple of minutes of wondering if she could make it until dinner, her attention shifted to the biggest news story of the night. The news anchor reported that 4 students from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical College had staged a sit-in at the segregated lunch counter at the Woolworth's department store in Greensboro, North Carolina. Amari wished her dad were home so he could see the footage. The date was February 1st, 1960. All 4 of these students were black. Their names were Joseph McNeil, Franklin McCann, David Richmond, and Aziel Blair. They sat down at the whites-only lunch counter and asked for donuts and coffee. Not surprisingly, they were denied service. But what was surprising was that these 4 students refused to leave. They read their textbooks and stayed until the store closed for the night. Amari watched the whole news segment, riveted. These young men were about the same age as her big sister Tamara. Over dinner that night, Amari had lots to say and many questions to ask. She told her parents all about the news report. Her dad said, "Good for those young men, black and proud. Sit-ins are a great way to get the message across that black people won't stand for second-class citizen treatment anymore." Didn't people have successful sit-ins at lunch counters before this one? Amari asked. Yes, indeed. One that I especially remember took place in Wichita, Kansas, back in 1958. Carol Parks and her cousin Ron Walters were leaders in their local NAACP Youth Council. They organized a sit-in at the Dockham Drug Store, which was a popular place to eat with a soda fountain. Over the course of a few weeks, other students joined in the sit-in, requesting to be served, but then denied. Almost a month into the sit-in, the owner decided he was losing too much money by not serving black folks. So, things changed. Carol, Ron, and the other students who participated in the sit-in won a victory for all black people wanting food at Dockham Drug Store without using violence. And there have been other examples in different locations in the US as well. Dr. Johnson looked pleased for a moment. Then his expression changed. But there's much progress that remains to be made. Your mama told me about your letter today. Nice work, Amari. Thanks, Dad. Some of my classmates were not very enthusiastic about the letter writing idea. They said no white politicians care about black schools. I disagree. Amari paused for a second, then added, "Do you think I could be a part of history like those students in Greensboro who were on the news tonight?" Absolutely. Writing the kind of letter you did today is a way of making history. And as you get older, you may pave the way for other black people in a variety of ways. Your sister is very active in the youth council at Howard University, and she hopes to be one of the first black female cardiologists one day. Amari's dad looked proud as he spoke about his eldest daughter. Dad, if the Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro ever becomes integrated, can we go? You bet, baby. I will take you there for a hamburger and a milkshake as soon as that happens. Deal? Deal.